Yo, what's going on, everyone? Team events have begun, and Jonathan Kuminga is not a part of them. Why Kaminga is likely not going to get what he wants, or is he going to get what he wants? That's coming up on today's show.
You are Locked On Warriors, your daily Golden State Warriors podcast.
What are they going to say now?
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's good, everyone? Welcome to the Locked On Warriors, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. My name is Charlie Walter, formerly of 95.7 The Game in the Bay Area. That's the flagship of the Golden State Warriors. Covered the team for CBS News Bay Area. Here to break down Golden State Warriors basketball. Now that the season started, Monday through Friday, live after the games. We do preseason as well, and whenever news breaks. Co-host on today's show, Kylen Mills, formerly of Cron 4. NBC Sports Bay Area. You can now see her on Big Ten Network, Ion. She's all over the place. And down to breakdowns of Jonathan Kuminga today. That's what the entire show is about. Some news that's come out on behalf of Jonathan Kuminga. Basically, Shams reporting that Jimmy Butler is holding a team minicamp in San Diego, taking some leadership role. The only player on the potential Dubs roster not there is Jonathan Kuminga. It's considered a team function, a camaraderie mini camp, but Aaron Turner says that the player option is still critical, and the dates of this mini camp has been known by both sides for a long time now. They hope JK would be there. Obviously, he's a restricted free agent, so he's not, and this continues to be unsolved with an expiration date of a week from Wednesday, which is today when the show's being recorded. Kylen, what do you make of all this, that Kaminga is not at minicamp?
I was hoping, Chuck, that we would not still be talking about this at this point in the end of September, but here we are. My first thought that comes to mind is what a mess. Him not attending any type of team activity isn't surprising to me, as you know, him and the Warriors clearly are at a standstill. They're at a standoff in some ways. And then I just think the agent Aaron Turner's recent media tour, talking to various outlets and you know, sharing their side of the story, but you know, I don't think that helped his cause any. And I'm very curious. Like, I wonder what his teammates think about all this. So not a surprise, disappointed that this is still going on, not shocked that this is still going on, but something has to give with preseason right around the corner. And if Jonathan Kuminga is coming back, whether it's on a qualifying offer or not, he needs to show up. He needs to show up, and he needs to put in some effort. I mean, especially if he wants to get traded and wants his own value to rise to get a better deal or whatever else, then or to market himself for future free agency, then he needs to actually play well. So at some point, he's got to either be in or out. And if he's coming back, as it would appear, like, you got to be in. But I mean, I'm not surprised that he's not going to the team bonding activities.
Yeah, it seems like it's somewhat optional, right? But it's frowned upon if you don't show up. And he's technically a member of this team, granted restricted free agent. It hasn't been resolved. Of course, he's not going to show up in the situation that he's been in all summer. But whether he's on the qualifying offer or whether it's this, because the Warriors have said they're not going to trade him, and they hold the rights to do whatever they want. So if that's the case,
at least for now. I mean, if he comes back, I could see him getting traded closer to the trade deadline if things aren't going well.
For sure. But in terms of now, he's expected to be on the team, opening it up. And so you would have to imagine
he should be on the team. So, like, at this point.
And I don't think any feathers are going to be ruffled as of now. But if it drags into actual camp, I mean, we got team pictures coming up here soon, and Kaminga's not going to be a part of them, most likely. And that's when it gets to the point where it's like, all right, if you're going to take the qualifying offer, it's on the table. You can take it. Warriors aren't upping their offer. So basically, Tim Kawakami, who, you know, he may be reporting the Warriors side of things here, not the Kaminga camp, but he said that the Warriors offered the second deal. We know this, and they will not cave into any more demands. They feel like they're being held hostage in this situation, kind of. They don't like the fact that Aaron Turner went out publicly after they gave them a raise, gave the Kaminga party a raise and said, you can have this extra year. They offered him more money. They tried to meet him halfway, and Aaron Turner still went out there publicly. And granted, he didn't say anything inherently wrong. The only thing that I thought he said wrong was we're worried about next year. We're worried about next summer, implying like health is all that matters with Jonathan Kuminga not actually contributing to a winning basketball team, which makes me think, all right, then if that's the case, your ass is sitting on the bench, because that's not really the mentality that you want on a winning basketball team. But the Warriors may be kind of inclined to say F Aaron Turner, F him after all this, F Kaminga, take the $7.9 million qualifying offer. It is on the table. We will not go any higher. Do you believe Kawakami's reporting there that the Warriors actually would let him take that qualifying offer or call his bluff? Or do you think that last minute they may throw that third year player option in there?
Yeah, it doesn't seem like the Warriors want to throw that third-year player option in, and I also think that makes a potential trade a lot more difficult if you add that into the mix. And I think that the Warriors don't want to go any higher than what they offered. They just upped their guaranteed total by more than $20 million, as you mentioned. So they made a concession. They said, okay, like we're going to, do something to meet you halfway, Jonathan Kuminga and Aaron Turner. And obviously that wasn't good enough. So I would not expect the front office to make a bigger offer. And I just think based on where the team is at, and talk about it year in, year out in terms of having their hands tied by the salary cap, like I just don't see them going higher. I just don't think they want to pay that much for Jonathan Kuminga. I definitely think that the relationship is strained. I mean, I don't think that's, a big secret at this point, but, for a player who seems, just so discontent with the entire situation, the organization, and I don't think that Aaron Turner going on this media tour is going to make the Warriors more inclined to give them more money. It's just not. And I could see the Warriors just saying, okay, take the qualifying offer. I mean,
take it, get out of here.
Yeah, it feels a little bit like a lose-lose situation at this point because of, to me, how ugly things have gotten. If he does take that qualifying offer, then you got to talk about, and I know we're going to talk about moving forward, like if this is a lame duck season before he does hit unrestricted free agency next summer, like what does that look like? Is he, like you said, actually going to try to contribute to winning basketball? But like I said, I just think if he wants a better deal when he becomes a free agent, then Jonathan Kuminga should want to contribute just for his own personal gain. But still, like, what are those dynamics like when you have a player who doesn't want to be here? You had this long stalemate all summer long. It held up all the rest of the Warriors free agency moves. He ends up just signing the qualifying offer and, being on a team that he has made very clear that he doesn't want to be on. In my opinion, his agent has gone around and really run his mouth about the situation. Like, I just think that's going to create a very interesting dynamic within the locker room, and whether the other players care or not, I think the front office has got to care. And like I said, it's awkward. I think it's an awkward situation for him to show up day one of training camp. Like, hey guys, you know what I mean? Like,
it's good.
What's up?
Yeah. Lame duck. That's what we're asking. Will it be a lame duck season if the qualifying offer is accepted, or is there an opportunity for Kaminga to play into a role this season? Will he want to do that? How's it all going to look? No one knows, but we're going to debate the best we can on Locked On Warriors. Today's episode is brought to you by America's #1 sportsbook, that is FanDuel. And the NFL season's here, making sure you are ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5. If your bet wins, you will get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love FanDuel because of the variety. There's a lot of ways you can do things. You can go with futures bets for action down the road and bigger payouts. You can go for live line bets. If you miss the start of the game, get in on the action. You got over-unders. You got taking teams straight up on the money line. You can accept the points, or you can go with some player props as well. It's quick, easy, and the best way to add a little more energy to your Sundays. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your $5 bet. Win yourself $300 in bonus bets. Today's episode is also brought to you by my favorite jeanswear company, that is Doer. I've been wearing them so much that unfortunately I don't have the sample to show you. They are currently in the wash. Yes, they are antibacterial. I've said this many shows now, but after about 15 wears, 15, that's gross. That's how long it takes. You eventually have to get a wash in. The best part about Doer, they opened a brand new store right in Hayes Valley. Let me tell you, you're going to want to stop by. They got 5 times the stretch of traditional denim. You get the perfect fit without feeling restricted. They feel like your comfiest joggers, but they look like you can wear them on a night out in town, and you'll do just that. I mentioned they're antibacterial. They stay fresher. You wash less. Also, CoolMax technology. It regulates your temperature and wicks away moisture. It's great for those unpredictable Bay Area days. Classic jeans wear style with the comfort and performance of athletic wear. It's the best of both worlds. Once you try them, they'll be your go-to. Visit their new store. The address, 567 Hayes Street in Hayes Valley. Mention my code LOCKEDONSF. You'll get 15% off your first order, or shop online at shopdoer.com/LockedOnSF. That is Doer, D-U-E-R, for 15% off. All right, so this Jonathan Kuminga conundrum has been going on for quite some time, all the way back to 2023, really. No issues in Kaminga's rookie season, but in his second season, rightfully so, he was playing really nice basketball. Wiggins comes back, and instead of trying to work in Kaminga, they just kind of completely throw him to the side, and he got DNPs in many of the playoff games and was not a fixture at all, to the point where Steph Curry had to have the team meeting before Game 7 in Sacramento, which has been reported directed at Poole and at Jonathan Kuminga. So this has been going on for a while now. Hey, are you in with the team? Or are you in for yourself? And Steve Kerr saying publicly that he can't play Kuminga X, Y, and Z amounts of minutes and expect to win basketball games. I think the exact amount was 35 minutes a game and win basketball games with Kaminga. At the same time, you got Warriors ownership that does not want to trade him. Joe Lacob loves Jonathan Kuminga. And then you have Mike Dunleavy, who's kind of in the middle, but we do know that he tried to trade him for Kevin Durant. So it's just an awkward situation all around. But with the Warriors not offering a second or a new deal, it sounds like, and they're going to stick with what they have. You take the QO if you want Kuminga. If he signs this qualifying offer, based on how the offseason has gone, even though he publicly hasn't stated a lot, but Aaron Turner's done some talking, and the silence is pretty deafening. If he signs this qualifying offer, why would the Warriors have any inclination to actually play him? And I know why, but I'm going to ask you. And I guess the other question would be, can they afford to?
This entire situation, I just can't. I mean, the whole thing with, I get Jonathan Kuminga wanting the player option because he wants to have some say over where he goes. He doesn't want the team to just have free reign over where they could possibly trade him. But at the same time, the Warriors need him to be on a tradable contract, and offering him what he wants is going to make that a lot more difficult. I mean, it's just a tough situation. If he does, I don't know, Chuck. We were talking about it before the break. The more I was thinking about it during the break, like, that's a lose-lose for the Warriors if he comes out on that qualifying offer. I mean, you're getting nothing for Jonathan Kuminga.
Not if he buys into his role and plays good basketball this season and just is like, hey, I'm going to ball out for me, but in turn help the team win, because what you need of me in some games is to score when there's no one on the floor to score because Curry or Butler or whoever's out with injury. He could still do that. Let's not get that wrong. The question is, are the Warriors going to put him in position to do that, and how much of bad blood will there be between the two parties, to the point where will we see him on an exercise bike to start the season in some of these games? You don't know.
Earlier this week, wasn't there a sign-in trade with the Sacramento Kings that was still discussed with Jonathan Kuminga? Like, is that still not on the table? Around. I just think that, like, you got to get something. Like, you have to get something. Is that not still on the table? The last I saw that was someone reported that. Sam Amick.
If it happens, it'll happen at the midnight hour, you would think. Warriors are trying to get a deal. Their best opportunity to move Kaminga for his highest value, we all know this, is for him to sign one of the deals that they've offered of him. The qualifying offer, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world in terms of you just get rid of him next summer. You don't have to deal with this whole kit and caboodle, because there is a chance.
Yeah, but they want to get something in return. You say,
what if you can't trade him? What if you can't trade him? What if something happens and you cannot trade him, and then you're stuck with that contract, and you give him the player option and you're stuck with him for 3 years? That's worst case scenario. Yeah. Second worst case scenario is the qualifying offer. But if he buys into a role that they're asking of him, and he just comes to play ball and he's gotten better, then it's not the worst thing in the world. I mean, you're losing him for nothing, but at a certain point, I mentioned the stock game. When you buy a stock at, let's say he was the 7th overall pick, it's $120 a share. And the stock is down to $27 a share. But you know that if you don't unload it at a certain point, this thing's going down to zero. It's a meme stock. It's going up. It's going down. At a certain point, this thing is going to zero. What do?
I don't.
You try to time the market? Like, I don't know at that point. It's
I don't think any of this is a great look for the Warriors front office. I really
no,
don't. The fact
no, not at all.
Gotten to this point. I mean, if he comes back, like I said, I think if anything, at that point, Jonathan Kuminga's got to play for himself, right? I mean, he wants to prove the star that he is and all of the stuff that he's been talking about in terms of he believes he should have a featured or premier role, whether it be a star or the number 2 on a good team. Well, then you got to ball out in the moments you're on the floor. And if you want to attract the right kind of a team and the right kind of offer that you want, then you have to show it in the minutes that you do get, whatever that role may be and whatever amount of minutes that you're on the floor. I mean, that's my thought process is like, if JK wants to better his situation, if he does sign it, that qualifying offer and he's a unrestricted free agent next year, well, like, the kind of attention he's going to attract is going to be based upon how he plays this season. And while it may not be the role that he wants, it clearly isn't going to be the role that he wants because he wants to be a 1 or 2, and he's not going to be a 1 or 2 on a team with Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler, and with Jimmy Butler playing a similar role. But I think that for his own personal motivation, he should be trying to ball out. I think like I said, it would be an awkward and unique situation if he did. And the Warriors did let him sign that qualifying offer and he comes back. But like at the end of the day, like he can't just, throw in the towel, right? I mean, he's going to be an unrestricted free agent next year. And
I wouldn't
he wants the ball and he claims that he wants money. So
your value is built off your previous contract, right? So it wouldn't make any sense in that regard to take the qualifying offer, I would think. But okay, he's young. He's got a lot of time to make it up. But there are a lot of...
But then he has to ball out though. If he's if that
there are a lot of GMs that are looking at this situation. They're wondering, all right, what if he's not buying into the role with the Golden State Warriors that they're asking of him? Then what if his role changes in our system and we ask him to buy in and he doesn't want to play a part in that role? I think he's a competitor and I think he's going to show up and play. I don't see any situation where Aaron Turner's kind of doomsday scenario of hint, next offseason is our focus right now, and he doesn't play, that sort of thing. It would be semi-unprecedented. You see it all the time in football, not as much in basketball, but I don't think we see some situation where, because if he doesn't sign the Warriors qualifying offer, like he's playing in China or somewhere this upcoming season. I don't think that's going to happen.
Oh,
he's got a lot to lose to some degree. He can't just. Look, Kylen. We have a list of top 100 players in the NBA. Top 100 players in the NBA per Locked On. Kaminga's nowhere to be found. So at the end of the day, like he only has so much leverage. This is not Steph Curry. This is not. Let's just pull up 71 through 80. This is not Kobe White. This is not even Michael Porter Jr. Like this is Jonathan Kuminga right now. And the Warriors have said that they're remaining steadfast on not. Steadfast. I like that word. On not extending anything else. But let's get into the situation with him potentially coming off the bench. Roles this season for Jonathan Kuminga. How do we work this out? How do we come to some sort of an agreement, fellas? We both want the same things, I think, right? What does Kaminga want?
I don't know. Coming up. I think he wants to stay healthy.
This is Locked On Warriors, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. The show will be right back. All right, Kylen.
I mean, he's got to stay healthy. That's the thing. That's kind of what Aaron Turner was alluding to, right? It was that like, oh, if we're worried about next summer, then like above all else, he can't risk injury. So like, what does that mean? But hopefully that's not.
But how do you state that publicly? It's just not the smartest look publicly, right? You can think it, you can insinuate it, but to just say it publicly in a contract negotiation when the Warriors have kind of already met you halfway. Look, there's a million different parties to blame here. There's a million different pinpoints you can look at. A lot of this started with the DNP. I truly think so in that Clippers game, and just Steve Kerr coming out publicly or giving the reporters some juice that Kaminga is not going to be in the playoff rotation. Things can change. Kaminga was distraught about the decision. That entire situation, I think, started a lot of this. Then the radio tour that Steve Kerr went on first and threw some backhanded jabs while throwing backhanded compliments at Kaminga at the same time, and it wasn't the greatest look on his part. And then Joe Lacob in the middle of this entire thing being like, no, we want you to be a part of the future, man. It's like, no, you don't. Maybe you do, but no one else in this organization does. How can we find a role for Kaminga, and how can we find something that he wants? Because as of right now, I truly think he wants the qualifying offer. It's looking that way.
I mean, it seems like he's trying to, and something him and Turner both said is that he believes in betting on himself. And I guess that's the ultimate move, betting on yourself, right? Like he passes up on how much money, what would the exact dollar amount be?
$40 million. 40
something.
So the contract, so it would be here's what's on the table. It's the 3 years, $54 million guaranteed. That's $18 million per season. That's not enough, but it's the 3 years guaranteed. Then there's the 1 plus the 1. Then there's the 2 plus the 1. The 2 plus the 1 is $48 million guaranteed at about $24 million per season, and it's $75 million total. That third year, though, is a team option. He wants the player option, says it would be done. The Warriors don't want to put in the player option. They don't feel the need to. They said, we've met you halfway. This is very fair, especially after agents coming out and, talking about this whole thing publicly. No one is going to deal with this situation. So it's tricky. It's tricky, but it's come to a close in a week. That's what we know.
But I think that's where Jonathan Kuminga is going to say, hey, like maybe I pass on the money and I bet on myself in that after this year, something big is coming and that I do want to maintain control over my career. I don't want to hand it over to the Warriors front office in terms of being able to trade me anywhere, because I believe that when I do have an unrestricted free agency next summer, that I'm going to get what I want. I'm going to get the role that I want. I'm going to get the money. It's going to come.
So let me ask, what's his buy-in going to be? If he's on that qualifying offer, what do you think his buy-in would be?
What do I think his buy-in would be for what?
If he's on the qualifying offer for this year's team, because that's
the amount of buy-in he would have with the Warriors. He wouldn't have any buy-in. Come on now. There'd be no buy-in.
Then he's not getting any money because the team, they're negotiating with themselves at that point. Like he's not getting $30 million a year if he doesn't play this season, if he sits on the bench.
Play like he has to do something, but he's not going to be bought in. What, you think he's going to be all jazzed up to still?
Well, if he's not bought in, he's not going to play.
Steve Kerr to DNP him,
it's a two-way street. You got to meet him somewhere in the middle, or he's not going to play. They literally did not play him in the playoffs last season. The most important part of the year proved that the Warriors thought we are better without Jonathan Kuminga in the lineup. And you're telling me he's just going to waltz into camp? He's going to skip everything? He's going to say, I don't want to be here? And they're going to play him to help his value? No, he's just not going to play. And then that's going to hurt his value. So I would think as a competitor, he would show up and at least do it for him. Do it for the kids. It's not for you, Steve. It's for the kids. It's for my next contract. That's what I would think. But I've thought a lot of things about this situation. A lot of it is proved to be wrong.
So if Jonathan Kuminga comes back on the qualifying offer, what's the next domino to fall in this roster? Because that's the question that I keep coming back to, is everything has been hinging upon what happens in this deal. And we've been waiting to see you. I know have been drooling over D'Anthony Melton, who's been reportedly working
Horford. I want
know.
Horford.
You specifically are high on D'Anthony Melton, but yes, obviously Al Horford's the one who's been linked to the Warriors, but what are the next dominoes that are going to fall if they do figure that out? Because that's the big thing looking ahead to me. If Jonathan Kuminga doesn't play, whatever, if he does play, I don't know, but they still have spots that they need to figure out. And they still have role players that they need. They still have size that they're lacking. It's like, let's move forward. But what is going on with Al Horford? Is that dude retiring or what?
No, he's good. He'll be a Warrior. It seems like him, Melton, Seth Curry, Gary Payton II would be the expectations. And then I would expect Will Richard to be getting some run on this year's team too. And if that's the case, you're looking at the exact same squad as last year come playoff time, minus we'll see about Kaminga, but minus Kevon Looney. That's the one that we know will not be a part of this year's team. Probably Pat Spencer. And aside from that, it's the same team. Add in Melton, add in Horford, add in a shooter and Curry, and Peyton was on the team last year. So, again, it shouldn't be some drastic fall off unless there's injuries and locker room turmoil. And again, those two things could very well happen.
If you're those free agents, like at some point, if you were maybe not the other guys, but like if you're Al Horford and you've been waiting out the situation at some point, are you just like, enough is enough? Like, I'm out.
I mean, at this point, he's waited this long.
He had a verbal agreement for a 2-year deal or something like that with the Warriors, right? But like,
yeah,
after you've been waiting and waiting and waiting, like, what if he's just like, I'm done with this? Like, peace. I don't even need to put up with this. I'm out.
Yeah, I don't think it's happening at this point, but I do think the fact that the Warriors have allowed it to get to this point with Kaminga is kind of incredible, but it makes me wonder what the offers have been in past years. Again, they tried to trade him at the deadline for Kevin Durant. That one fell through. Last offseason was the opportunity to get off Kaminga if they did not believe in him, but they gave him one last year of run. They gave him his opportunity right before he got hurt and was looking good in that opportunity again. Butler came in, it changed the dynamic, the complexion of the team, and now we sit here and we say, this is the only thing that couldn't happen in this situation. You had years to figure this out. There were closed-door meetings that this was becoming an issue in 2023, and here we are in September of 2025, going on October of 2025, and the Warriors can't even scrimmage 5-on-5. They got like 9 dudes.
No, it's crazy. This is insanity.
That it is. Embarrassing, to say the least, but eventually it's going to get figured out, hopefully in the next week. And the Warriors they're at their mini camp right now in San Diego that Jimmy Butler, one of their leaders, has put on. Kaminga, obviously,
I actually love
is
that
not
he's
there.
doing that. Just to say something positive before we wrap. Like, I love that Jimmy Butler's doing that. Multiple players said last season that like he came in and immediately won over the locker room with the veteran presence, with the leadership, which were some of the concerns coming off of the way he behaved, Jonathan Kuminga-esque down in Miami. But he came in and really put his big boy pants on and has been a good culture fit. So I do think it's cool that he's hosting the mini camp. I think it's great that the Warriors are trying to, reestablish the chemistry and the culture, but the whole Jonathan Kuminga piece to the puzzle has to be figured out. It's been way too long. It is embarrassing. And I'm praying that this time next week, we'll be talking about something other than Jonathan Kuminga. Please, for the love of God.
Can I read you my favorite internet comment before we go?
Sure. Why not?
Why not? Someone said to this, that's a cool thing for Jimmy to do. Glad he's taking the mentor role seriously. Someone else responded, he was a great father in the Miami locker room. And then the next response, until he went out for milk and cigarettes. And with that, this is Locked On Warriors. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Appreciate you for checking out the show on YouTube. Hit that thumbs up on the way out. Let's talk some Warriors basketball soon. We are just about here.